And I have just gotten back from another Thursday night local, and for some reason I did not get the memo from the arbitrary half of the bloody contingent that had their own private little conversation and said, "Oh, let's just make tonight a fun night and just play our own fun decks and whatnot and whatnot." But so instead of playing raccoons like I initially had planned to, but instead changed it about an hour before I left for the event, I instead decided to play my recently completed Burning Abyss deck. I managed to get the last two Dantes. I had a Dante that I offloaded. I offloaded those two Vanity's Emptiness that I pulled from the 5Ds box. And I got it for a Dante, and then I still needed the two more. And then I just basically decided to just go on eBay, buy those other two, and now I've got the deck all set and ready to roll, with the exception possibly of a second Karma card. It probably would be nice to have a second Karma card, but I worked with it. It wasn't, I suppose, it worked relatively well. I did lose a couple of games to just incredibly stupid lapses in judgment. That can only be expected, because I have been awake since 1:30 this morning. It is nearly midnight now, so obviously my brain wasn't working quite at 100%. So this deck could have done a lot more, but my only losses across the 4 rounds in the top 4 were the last 2 rounds that I played was Infernoids round 4 and then the top 4 matchup against the Tellarknights. Both of those, though, were just as a direct result of Snatch Steal just fucking me over. I always said that Snatch Steal was not going to be healthy for this game, and it really isn't, because it just puts... I had established pretty solid boards in both of those games, and then next thing I know, I have Snatch Steal happen, and then I just lose my shit, which really, really fucking pisses me off. So, yeah, Snatch Steal, get the fuck back on the ban list. You don't deserve to be in this game. So, yes, I'm salty, but I have the right to be salty, and I'm not going to shut up just because people tell me to shut up and say, "Oh, no, Snatch Steal's a balanced card, it's a good card for the game." No. No. Your argument is invalid, it's fucking disgusting. But, whatever, enough of the stupid Snatch Steal ranting, it's kind of pointless, so just go through the deck. So, obviously you gotta have the 3 tour guide. I mean, that's pretty much just no shit Sherlock right there. And then, of course, on top of that, you also have the 3 copies of Scum, your searching ability, 3 copies of Graph, deck specials, 3 copies of Seer for graveyard specials. Of course, this is about the heart and soul of every friggin' deck. This is basically your natural variation, if I'm gonna use frickin' bowling terms, because you can just do that sort of jazz. One of them turns more than the other, one of them bounces more than the other, or some shit. I then only played the 2 Rubik. The one conclusion that I can come to in this testing is Rubik 2 is pretty nice. I didn't feel like I needed the 3rd, but at the same time, it might not actually be a bad idea to give 3 a crack. So if I can get my hands on a 3rd one before Sunday, which is not likely, but it could happen. But if I can get my hands on a 3rd Rubik before Sunday, I'll definitely give it a crack, because there were a handful of situations where I would have loved to have made Virgil, but just didn't have the Rubik, or the Graph to get the Rubik, and basically just had nothing but Seer, and I just couldn't mill the Rubik. So 3 Rubik would be nice to have, definitely. So then run the double Farfa just to get stuff out of the way. It's basically just to get stuff out of the way for inflicting a shitload of damage. It's an extra bonus against Exceed monsters because they lose their materials. But aside from that, I basically just want to get all the damage in as quickly as possible. So I just use Farfa, get rid of some sort of important monster of theirs, and then just swing with a Dante or 2, just put some damage on the board, and hopefully get that game 1 win out of the way. And at which point I'll usually just side a Farfa out. It's really easy to just side one of these out. It's not that big of a deal. So I then play the one Alech. I'm going to call it Alech for whatever reason. It's obviously not going to be its actual pronunciation, but whatever. It's funny. I don't think I got this one's effect off at all. It sort of showed up here and there. I think I used it for an allure once. I stuck it on an acid golem and then it got snatch stolen, which really freaking annoyed me. Thing with acid golem is that if you use this, or you, like if you use this, and then during your next standby phase you just detach, negate the acid golem, and then you can make down it over it, so that eliminates you from the having to burn the damage off of you. So nice. Calcab came in relatively handy. I think some people don't run this. I think it's a pretty decent idea. It just helps clear back row up, helps you get your damage on the board. And then I play the one copy of Kanya. It is not pronounced Kagna, it is Kanya. If you want to argue with me, then go look up the word in Google. It is Italian for bitch, in case anybody doesn't know. So this can in fact be your bitch of the deck. But Kanya, I usually sided this out because I would usually side this and add my one good and evil out. Because it's really only that. It was really only great for dropping the good and evil, or to drop the Fire Lake if I needed something decent to recycle with the Dante. So that was pretty much all it served. And then the one last monster I played is the BLS for obvious reasons, and he put in a lot of work tonight, so I was quite content with his performance. Then for the spells, only multiple in this spell lineup is the 3 Mystical Space Typhoon, just because Vanity's Emptiness can go fuck itself. And funnily enough, I never saw it in games 2 and 3. I never sided them out or anything like that, because I knew I was going to probably deal with freaking Shadow Mirrors. And so I just didn't see them against Shadow Mirrors. And that also helped me. That also helped lose me the top 4 matchup against the Tellers, which pissed me off. But whatever. One good and evil. I was running 2, but I found myself not even using this freaking thing. I only feel that it's really that great if you've got a decent discard fodder for this thing. Like if you've got a graph or something, you can just dig through your deck, and thin the deck a considerable amount. Or if you've got just this, if you've got this and you've just got a seer in your hand, banish that, dump the seer, get something to hand, get the seer's effect to get a graph or something, and especially Burning Abyss from your hand, and then makes a Dante. But aside from that, it was very situational for me. I sided this out a lot. I feel like I want to keep it in there though, just for that very reason. I can just ditch, I can ditch a Calcab and send something back. It's just a quick discard outlet. So, and combined with Kanya, it's not that difficult to get it into the graveyard. So, let's again discard it for our Virgil's effect if it comes to that. Then play the one Soul Charge. Because Soul Charge is just basically, if you Soul Charge and go into a Virgil, you don't even need to worry about your battle phase, because you're just going to get shit off the board anyway, which is really, really nice. One Lure of Darkness, I hardly saw this. It was pretty useful. I didn't mind it. It was relatively solid. One Regeki, which I was really nice. I actually opened with this in both games in my round 1 matchup, and it led me to win both of those games. Which is really, really nice to have. Then played one Light Beam, solid. Definitely not going to cut this out. On some cases, I usually side it out if I wanted to run something more reactive, something like a Twister or a Dust Tornado or something like that. Was I even running Twisters? No, I wasn't. My reactive back row pop stuff was definitely Dust Tornado and the other bloody random thing that I decided to run for tonight. Played the one rank at Magic Astral Force because this thing's gimmicky enough for me to give it a crack. I've always been a fan of rank at Magic, and so there was no way that I was not going to run it. And I did get it off a couple of times, which is really nice to just have play it as just sort of sitting there, even though it did get snatch stolen once, which really pissed me off. Then the one Foolish Burial, saw this a couple of times. It was really, really solid. Got to play Foolish Burial in this deck because it's literally a power card. It can be anything you want it to be. So then, trap cards, 3 Wing Blast, because holy shit, the silliness is real with this freaking card. Problem is though, there were a couple of situations where this card was dead, or just got MST'd. This was nowhere near as effective as I would have liked for it to have been, because everybody just kept fucking sniping the damn thing. There was even one situation against the Satella Knights where he managed to out-resource me, and I had no fodder for the friggin' Wing Blast, and so by the time I did, I had already pretty much long since lost the game. 3 Fire Lake. 3 Fire Lake is a bit weird. This is the actually rather hilarious thing. I hardly ever saw Fire Lake. I got Fire Lake off a grand total of once across the 5 rounds. That is it. And, like, I literally, I hardly ever saw it. I would probably dump it maybe once or twice with, Kanya. Like, just, like, if the, for example, the good and evil is sent to the graveyard and I use Kanya, I can just dump Fire Lake to avoid it being a dead draw. And if I need it, then I can just get it back, whenever my opponent kills Dante. So, it wasn't... like, the one time I did play it, it did win me the game. So it is a very, very powerful card. I have to respect that. But it's far too situational. At least from what I've gathered of it. I did it like once in testing on DN against Constellas, and that with the round 2 matchup that I did it against, it was very, very I have not gotten it off too many times since. Vanity's Emptiness. I know I hate this card with a freaking passion, but I pulled a playset of these out of my Secret Forces box, as you will have seen, because that's going up before this or any of the other videos that I've got prepared. It wasn't so bad, but the problem was, like in the Satella matchup, top 4, I had this and played as, and I still ended up losing because of the Snatch Steal. And he actually forced out Play It as effect with something else and then Snatch Stole it so that I couldn't really do anything else. I'm just going to blame that on my brain fart, because I should have made a pretty decent read on his hand, because he added a Vega to his hand with his opening turn Deneb, which means I knew that Altair was there, and he had 2 back row, which means he would have possibly had, like, he would have definitely had Vega, Altair, probably one more card. It might well have been, it turned out that it wasn't honest, but it could have easily just been honest. I don't know, really. I just don't know. It was so stupid, but whatever. Last 2 traps to play are the 1 Solemn Warning and the 1 Karma Cut, only because this is the only copy that I have. If I had a second copy, I would definitely run the second one. Probably over the Allure of Darkness, really. That being said, though, I don't want this deck to be too trap heavy, because, like, especially in the regionals, because having a trap heavy BA deck's just going to get me screwed over by frickin' Denko, and that's the last thing I frickin' want, especially having gone up against frickin' Infernoids tonight, and that deck's just fucking grubby. I hate that deck. It's really, it's a cheap deck. It's very, very horrible. So that's the main deck. That is 40 card main deck. So onward to the extra deck, and of course gotta have the front man of the band, Dante. Does everything that you want him to do. You just drop him 24/7. Could not stop opening double Dante every freaking game. It was just silly. Most of the time I would, like, just about every game I played except for one against the Light Sworn player where I bricked hard and saw only one monster, I would just open at least one Dante, and I would either open a Dante and a Scarm or 2 Dantes. That's literally all that I would open up with. But only once did I open up with that, plus the Fire Lake. That one Fire Lake play did win me the game, though, because they were going for, like, big Light Sworn plays, but, you know, it was going to happen. They don't really have too much in the way of back row hate or, like, wiretaps or some stupid shit, so it was going to happen. But, yeah, Dante was just amazing. Gotta run the 3 of it. I know it's worth so much, but it's, like, tough. You have to play 3. Zen Mines, I got this off once, and it sucks because I did this to blow up Snatch Steal to get Acid Golem back, but the problem is it cost me. But the problem is he had Infernal Notondal on the board and could have easily just run over me with one attack and won the game. So I'd have gotten Asa Golem back fair enough, but the problem is Zen Mine's not really that powerful in the offense, and I had to scoop because of that, which was really, really stupid. Giga Brilliant, surprisingly enough, I actually did get this off once in the Infernoid matchup. I was actually more than surprised by that. Ghost Trick Alucard, I know I got this off in a practice match before the event against a Mermail deck. I can't remember if I got this off any additional times in the event. I might have gotten it off once, but that's about it. Leviair, I don't get the point of this freaking card. I'm guessing it's just to like bring back a tour guide or some shit, but I don't understand why. Yeah, if there is logic behind this, feel free to tell me, because if not, I'm just going to freaking get rid of it for a second Nightmare Shark. I thought the second Nightmare Shark would have been pretty nice in certain situations. One Acid Golem, I dropped this a couple of times, so it was pretty handy just to get over big beat sticks, and then of course have it Snatch Steal off me. Fucking Snatch Steal. One Nightmare Shark, which I never saw, for obvious reasons. And then one Temtempo, which again I never saw, because this is probably the least freaking often, like, you're not going to summon this that often in the slightest. If I had Chronomaly Crystal Chrononaut, I would definitely run that with Chaos number 69. I'd probably cut this in the Leviair. As a matter of fact, no, I would have cut that. I would have cut that Temtempo. I would have cut Leviair. I would have cut Giga Brilliant. And I would have put the Chrononaut, the 69 in, and then I would have definitely put in the second Nightmare Shark. So it would have been pretty nice. And then the 2-Nano Magician, which, if my memory serves me correctly, I never actually dropped this at all. I just kept sticking with my Dante's Quest. But by the time the Dante had run out of materials, it was going to die. Like the turn after it ran out of materials, it just died. So I never really had much of an opportunity to get the thing. And for most situations, the 2500 baht was a bit of a better option anyway. I didn't really want to drop it in freaking bloody, what do you call it, Satellas, and then just have it 101'd off me. So then the one platers for the rank up. Lovely to see him a couple of times. I was quite happy with his performance. I was quite unhappy when it got Snatch Stealed. This deck profile is all about my hatred for Snatch Steal, isn't it? But whatever. Only synchros that you can really run is the double Virgil, which was didn't really need the second one, but like it's a rarity anyway that you'll do that. So it is what it is. It's just sort of there. Now for the side deck, this was a rather interesting sideboard. It worked out to an extent. I couldn't go through the entirety of it because there are so many different decks. You'd expect that there'd be something like that's actually relevant to the meta. I believe there was only a grand total of one Clifford. I believe I was the only one. I was the only BA. I believe there was only one Satella in the event. I believe the only deck that actually had multiple representatives was Infernoids, and there was 2 of them, one of which came second. But aside from that, not much else. So this was a bit more geared towards the meta sort of stuff, but it did sort of work in against some other lower level stuff. 2v Fiend, I summoned this against Infernoids, and then proceed to have it Snatch Stealed off me. Snatch Steal. God, I cannot shut up about Snatch Steal. But yeah, that's the only time I saw it. I cited it in against a couple of other matchups that were specialized in special summoning, like, of course, the Satellas. Never saw it. 2 Caius, I can't even remember if I cited this in. Only real reason this is there is because I don't have Majesty's Fiend. And Majesty's Fiend is like freaking 40, 50 bucks or something like that. I think it's like 40 bucks, but I'm just like, screw paying that much. So I'm just like Caius, because it's decent spot removal at any rate. Then played the 2D Fusion, expecting to see heroes. Nobody played heroes. I believe there was one person that played Ritual Beasts. So this might not have been a bad idea against that deck, provided I timed the use of the D Fusion well enough. Then 3 Monarch Stormforth. This was weird. I believe I cited this in against the round 1, the Harpy matchup. But I don't think I cited it in against anything else because I had it in the Harpy matchup. And in that game that I lost, which I should have won because I was a moron, I milled a Stormforth, had another one, and pretty much just had to set it as a bluff. I am really not liking the way Stormforth is progressing at the moment. It doesn't seem to be helping me out quite a lot, so I will probably cut them. Probably for maybe like Twisters or something like that, I'm not too sure. Started the one bottomless for the Cliffort matchup. I did use this as well against, I also tried this as well against just big sort of beat stick like decks, just to get rid of something deadly from their board and basically just screw them over. Third Vanities, I can't tell you if this was useful in the slightest because it was a rarity that I even saw this. I think I had one game where I opened double Vanities, which was a bit disgusting because I didn't really have much else to go with it, but it was there. Actually, no, that was the one I went for the V-Fiend, and then it got Snatch Steal, which is really annoying. Raigeki Break, this is again for Clifforts, because the difference between this and Fairy Wind is that you can just blow up a scout and you can actually get plus. Same thing with, you can just hit Vanities, Skill Drain, and you'll actually go plus with the monster effect that you discard, so that's really nice. I'm actually thinking of main decking it, and just main decking it over the Karma Cut and the Allure of Darkness, just because it's nice. It's just because it's extra little bit of discard fodder. Then the double Dust Tornado, which for some stupid reason I sided it in against. I don't think I even sided this in. I think I probably should have sided this in against a Stellar matchup just to keep their back row clear. I should have done it because I never saw any of my back row hate to deal with freaking Shadow Mirror. So I definitely should have increased the number of hate in that matchup. But we're not going to talk about the Snatch Steal fucking bullshit that was caused as a result of that. What I'm going to do is bring an end to this video because it's another freaking long ass one. But I was still quite content with its performance. I mean, I got top 4 with it, so I'm pretty happy. Even though it was a field consisting primarily of lower tier decks, sort of fun decks, because there was a Hieratic, there was a Rock Stun, there was a Mermail, there was a Harpy, there was a Ritual Beast, there was a Light Swarm, there was a Constellar. There was just a whole bunch of random stuff, and it did actually make the tournament interesting because there's a whole bunch of different stuff. You never go up against the same thing twice, and I never did. All 5 of my rounds were all completely different matchups, so that I thought was pretty interesting. I will probably take this to the Sunday local, and will report on how well the deck performs there with changes that I make to it between now and then. But as for now, I will present I'll cut the video here and then come back with the tournament report. So, see you for that.